Maya Rodriguez clutched her acceptance letter to Columbia Law School, tears streaming down her face as she watched her mother's medical bills pile up on the kitchen table. 3 years later, she would discover that one desperate night would change everything, but not in the way she ever imagined. Hey, future lawyers and dreamers. If this story hits you right in the feels, smash that subscribe button and help us reach 10,000 subscribers. We're almost there, and your support means everything. Now let's dive into Maya's world. Maya had always believed that hard work and determination could overcome any obstacle. Growing up in East Los Angeles, she watched her single mother, Carmen, work 3 jobs just to keep food on the table and a roof over their heads. When Carmen was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer during Maya's senior year at UCLA, their world shattered like glass hitting concrete. The medical bills arrived like relentless waves, each one higher than the last. Insurance covered barely half, and the experimental treatments that offered the best hope weren't covered at all. Maya watched her mother grow weaker by the day, her vibrant spirit dimming with each chemotherapy session. "Mija, you need to focus on your studies," Carmen whispered one evening, her voice barely audible over the hum of the oxygen machine. "Don't worry about me." But Maya couldn't focus. How could she think about constitutional law when her mother was dying? How could she attend classes when the woman who sacrificed everything for her was lying in a hospital bed, worried about the mounting debt? That's when Maya made the decision that would haunt and bless her in equal measure. She had heard whispers among her classmates about exclusive parties in Beverly Hills, where wealthy men paid extraordinary amounts for companionship. The thought made her stomach churn, but desperation has a way of reshaping moral boundaries. The mansion in Beverly Hills stretched across what seemed like an entire city block. Maya adjusted her borrowed dress, a sleek black number from her roommate's closet, and tried to steady her trembling hands. She had never done anything like this before, but the woman who arranged everything assured her that most of these encounters were simply about companionship, conversation over expensive wine. "You're beautiful, articulate, and exotic," the woman had said with a calculating smile. "These men will pay handsomely just to have someone interesting to talk to." Maya repeated this lie to herself as she walked through the ornate foyer, past crystal chandeliers that cost more than her mother's annual salary. The party was already in full swing, filled with politicians, tech moguls, and old money aristocrats who treated money like most people treated breath, abundant and unlimited. That's when she saw him. Alexander Blackstone stood near the floor-to-ceiling windows, his silhouette commanding attention even in a room full of powerful men. At 32, he was the youngest billionaire in California's tech industry, having built his empire from a dorm room idea that revolutionized artificial intelligence. His dark hair was perfectly styled, his suit probably cost more than Maya's entire education, and his eyes, piercing blue like Arctic ice, seemed to see through everyone and everything. But it wasn't his wealth or status that made Maya's breath catch. It was the profound loneliness she recognized in his expression, the same hollow ache she had carried for months. "You look lost." His voice was smooth, cultured, with just a hint of an accent she couldn't place. Maya turned, finding herself face to face with the man whose face graced business magazines and financial news shows. "I was just admiring the view," she managed, gesturing toward the city lights sprawling below. "It's all glass and steel," Alexander said, moving to stand beside her. "Beautiful from a distance, but cold when you're living inside it." There was something in his tone that made Maya forget why she was there, forget the arrangement, forget everything except the unexpected vulnerability in this powerful man's voice. "I'm Maya," she said simply. "Alexander. But my friends call me Alex." He studied her face with an intensity that made her feel exposed. "You don't belong here." "Excuse me?" "This party, these people." He gestured dismissively at the crowd behind them. "You have substance, intelligence. Most people here are just beautiful shadows." Maya felt heat rise in her cheeks. "You don't know anything about me." "I know enough." Alex turned to face her fully. "UCLA pre-law, honor roll every semester. Part-time job at the campus legal aid clinic. Mother's name is Carmen. Works at 3 different cleaning companies to support your education." Maya's blood ran cold. "How do you—" "I make it my business to know things." His expression softened slightly. "I also know she's sick, very sick." And that you're here tonight because traditional solutions aren't working fast enough. Humiliation flooded through Maya like poison. She turned to leave, but Alex caught her wrist gently. Wait, I'm not judging you. I'm offering you an alternative. I don't need your charity. It's not charity. Alex released her wrist but didn't step back. I need something too, companionship, real conversation. Someone who sees me as more than a walking bank account. Maya laughed bitterly. Right, because billionaires are so hard up for company. The kind that matters. Yes, Alex's eyes held hers steadily. Everyone wants something from me. Politicians want donations. Women want marriage and access to my fortune. Business associates want deals and partnerships. When was the last time someone asked me how I slept, or what I dreamed about, or if I ever get tired of being Alexander Blackstone? There was such raw honesty in his words that Maya felt her defenses crumbling. What are you proposing? Spend the evening with me, not as an escort or a business transaction, just be with me, talk to me, help me remember what it feels like to be human. He paused. In exchange, I'll take care of your mother's medical expenses, all of them, including the experimental treatments at Sloan Kettering. Maya's heart stopped. The treatments at Sloan Kettering could save her mother's life, but they cost over $200,000. Why would you do that? Because I can. And because something tells me that saving Carmen Rodriguez might save me too. What happened next defied every expectation Maya had carried into that mansion. Instead of a cold transaction, she found herself drawn into the most intimate conversation of her life. Alex led her to a private terrace overlooking the city, where they talked until the first hints of dawn painted the sky pink and gold. He told her about growing up as the awkward, brilliant son of neglectful parents who saw him only as an extension of their social status. How he built his first computer at age 12, not out of passion for technology, but because machines were more reliable than people. How success had isolated him in a tower of gold and glass, surrounded by admirers, but starving for genuine connection. Maya shared her own story, the late nights studying while her mother worked, the dreams of becoming a civil rights lawyer, the terror of watching the strongest person she knew fade away in a hospital bed. She talked about the guilt of being here, the shame of what she thought she would have to do, and the desperate love that drove her to consider it. You're not desperate, Alex said as the sun painted his face in warm light. You're devoted. There's a difference. Somewhere between midnight and morning, something shifted between them. What began as mutual loneliness transformed into genuine attraction. When Alex reached out to touch her face, Maya didn't pull away. When she leaned closer, drawn by the vulnerability in his eyes, he didn't retreat. I should go, Maya whispered, even as her body betrayed her by moving closer to his. Should you? Alex's thumb traced her jawline. Or do you want to stay? The kiss that followed was nothing like Maya had expected. It wasn't calculated or transactional. It was desperate, hungry, filled with months of suppressed emotion and unexpected connection. When Alex lifted her in his arms and carried her to his private suite, Maya's last coherent thought was that this felt nothing like the sacrifice she had planned to make. What followed was a night of passion that branded itself into Maya's soul. Alex was gentle but intense, worshipful but commanding. He took his time exploring every inch of her body, making her feel like the most precious thing he had ever touched. When he finally claimed her virginity, it was with a tenderness that brought tears to her eyes and a passion that set her body on fire. They made love 3 times before dawn, each encounter more intense than the last. Alex whispered endearments in languages Maya didn't recognize, held her like she might disappear, touched her like she was made of starlight and dreams. Stay with me, he murmured against her hair as exhaustion finally claimed them. Not for the money, not for your mother. Stay because you want to. Maya's heart clenched with an emotion too dangerous to name. Alex, I know this is crazy. We just met, but I haven't felt this alive in years. His arms tightened around her. Give us a chance. Give me a chance. But when Maya woke up hours later, Alex was gone. In his place was an envelope containing a check for $250,000 and a note that made her blood freeze. Maya. Thank you for an unforgettable evening. Your mother's treatments are arranged. This should cover everything with some left over for your education. Please don't try to contact me. What we shared was beautiful, but it can't continue. Some worlds aren't meant to collide. Amaya stared at the note until the words blurred through her tears. The night that had felt like destiny was nothing more than an expensive fantasy to him. She had given him her virginity, her trust, her heart, and he had paid her for it like she was exactly what she had come there to be. Maya threw up for the 5th morning in a row, gripping the edges of the dormitory bathroom sink as her world tilted on its axis. Her period was 3 weeks late, her breasts were tender, and the smell of coffee made her nauseous. "No," she whispered to her reflection. "Please no." But the pregnancy test she bought that afternoon confirmed her worst fears. 3 tests, actually, because surely the first 2 had to be wrong. But all 3 showed the same impossible result: positive. Maya sank onto her dorm room bed, staring at the plastic evidence of her life falling apart. Her mother was responding beautifully to treatment. The cancer was in remission, and Carmen was stronger than she had been in months. Maya's grades were perfect, her LSAT scores were excellent, and her future stretched ahead bright with possibility. And now this. She had tried calling Alex dozens of times in the weeks following their night together, but his number was disconnected. His office claimed he was traveling indefinitely. The mansion where they met belonged to someone else entirely. Alex had simply been a guest. It was as if Alexander Blackstone had vanished from the earth, leaving Maya alone with the consequences of their passionate night. "Push, Maya." "I can see the first head." Dr. Jennifer Walsh's voice seemed to come from very far away as Maya fought through the most intense pain of her life. When the ultrasound had revealed triplets at her 12-week appointment, Maya had laughed until she cried. Of course it was triplets. Of course the one night she threw caution to the wind would result in not 1 but 3 babies. "Come on, sweetheart," Carmen whispered, squeezing Maya's hand. "You can do this." Maya's mother had been her rock through the entire pregnancy. When Maya finally confessed the truth about the baby's father, Carmen had simply held her daughter and whispered, "We'll figure it out. Rodriguez women are strong." They had moved to a small apartment in Pasadena, close enough to UCLA for Maya to finish her degree online while pregnant. Carmen's health continued to improve, and she threw herself into preparing for her grandchildren with infectious enthusiasm. But as Maya pushed through the final contractions, bringing 3 perfect babies into the world, her heart ached with the knowledge that their father would never know they existed. The first baby, a boy with dark hair and impossibly blue eyes, arrived at 3:42 a.m. The second, a girl with Maya's olive complexion and Alex's aristocratic features, followed 6 minutes later. The third, another boy who looked exactly like his brother, made his entrance at 4:01 a.m. "They're perfect," Dr. Walsh announced, placing the first baby on Maya's chest. Absolutely perfect. Maya stared down at her son, at Alex's son, and felt her heart break and heal simultaneously. The baby opened his eyes, revealing the same piercing blue that had haunted her dreams for months. "Hello, beautiful boy," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I'm your mama." Maya balanced her youngest son, Diego, on her hip, while trying to prevent his siblings from destroying her mother's kitchen. Elena was attempting to climb the refrigerator, while Sebastian had discovered that flour made excellent finger paints. "Mama, I need at least 6 more arms," Maya called to Carmen, who was watching the chaos with amused resignation. "Welcome to motherhood, Mija," Carmen laughed, scooping up Elena before she could reach the top shelf. "Remember when you used to give me gray hairs? This is payback." Maya had graduated summa cum laude from law school 6 months earlier, studying during nap times and pulling all-nighters while 3 toddlers slept. She had just accepted a position at a prestigious civil rights firm in downtown Los Angeles, finally able to pursue her dreams while supporting her unconventional family. The triplets were the center of her universe, brilliant, mischievous, and so beautiful, it sometimes took her breath away. Sebastian was quiet and analytical, already showing signs of his father's technological genius. Elena was fierce and protective, with a vocabulary that astounded everyone who met her. Diego was the charmer, able to melt hearts with a single smile. But late at night, when the children were finally asleep, Maya sometimes found herself staring at their faces and wondering about the man who had given them life. Did Alex ever think about their night together? Did he wonder what had become of her? Would he care if he knew about his children? "Mama, why don't we have a daddy?" Elena asked one evening as Maya tucked her into bed. The question hit Maya like a physical blow. She had known this day would come, had practiced answers in front of the mirror, but nothing had prepared her for the innocent curiosity in her daughter's eyes. "Some families are different, baby," Maya said softly. "We have Mama and Abuela Carmen. That's enough love for a whole army of kids." "But Sebastian's friend Jake says daddies are supposed to protect their families," Elena persisted. "Who protects us?" Maya kissed her daughter's forehead. "I protect you. And you protect your brothers. And they protect you. We're a team, remember?" Elena seemed satisfied with this answer, but Maya's heart ached as she closed the bedroom door. Her children deserved to know their father. They deserved to know they came from brilliance and success, not just desperate circumstances. But Alex had made his choice 2 years ago. He had paid her off and disappeared, making it clear that their worlds should never collide again. Maya was reviewing case files in her small office when her assistant knocked on the door, her face pale with excitement. "Maya, you need to see this. Channel 7 is doing a breaking news story about Alexander Blackstone." Maya's blood turned to ice. She hadn't heard that name spoken aloud in 2 years, had trained herself not to think about him, except in the darkest hours of the night. "What about him?" Maya managed to ask. "Just watch." On the television screen, Alex's face appeared, older and somehow harder than Maya remembered. The news anchor's voice filled the small office. Tech billionaire Alexander Blackstone announced today that he will be donating his entire fortune, an estimated $12.8 billion, to medical research and educational charities. In a shocking revelation, Blackstone claims this decision stems from a diagnosis of early-onset Huntington's disease, a hereditary neurological disorder that will progressively deteriorate his mental and physical capabilities. Maya's legs gave out, and she collapsed into her chair as the report continued. Blackstone, who has no known children or immediate family, says he wants his wealth to benefit humanity rather than disappear into legal battles after his death. He has given himself 5 years to distribute his fortune before the disease significantly impacts his cognitive abilities. The camera cut to a press conference, where Alex stood behind a podium looking gaunt and tired. Maya's heart clenched as she saw the subtle tremor in his hands, the slight slur in his speech that only someone who had listened to his voice in passionate whispers would notice. "I've spent my life building something I thought would last forever," Alex was saying. "But nothing lasts forever. The most I can hope for is that my resources will continue to make a difference long after I can't." A reporter called out, "Mr. Blackstone, do you regret not having a family to leave your legacy to?" The camera zoomed in on Alex's face, and Maya saw something that made her gasp, raw, devastating regret. "Yes," Alex said quietly. "I regret many things. But mostly I regret the choices I made out of fear. The bridges I burned because I thought I was protecting people from what I am." "What do you mean by that?" Another reporter pressed. Alex was quiet for a long moment. "There are people I should have fought for. People I walked away from because I thought I was doing the right thing. I was wrong." Maya's assistant was still talking, but Maya couldn't hear her over the rushing in her ears. Alex was sick, dying, and from the look in his eyes he was drowning in regret about their night together. But he didn't know. He had no idea that their passionate encounter had created 3 perfect children who carried his brilliance in their DNA. Children who might also carry his disease. The thought hit Maya like a sledgehammer. Huntington's disease was hereditary. If Alex had it, there was a 50% chance he had passed it to each of the triplets, her babies. Her perfect, brilliant babies might be carrying a death sentence in their genes. Maya grabbed her purse and ran from the office, her mind racing with 1,000 terrible possibilities. She had to find Alex. She had to tell him about the children. She had to know if Sebastian, Elena, and Diego would face the same devastating future as their father. It took Maya 3 days to track down Alex's current location. His company headquarters claimed he was unavailable indefinitely, his publicist wouldn't return calls, and his lawyers insisted they had no information about his whereabouts. Finally, Maya's new connections in the legal world paid off. A colleague's husband worked in medical research and had heard through hospital networks that Alex was receiving treatment at a private facility in Malibu. Maya drove up the winding coastal highway with her heart hammering against her ribs. She had left the triplets with Carmen, telling her mother only that she needed to handle some urgent legal business. How could she explain that she was about to confront their father with news that would shatter both their worlds? The Serenity Medical Center was more like a luxury resort than a hospital, nestled into the cliffs overlooking the Pacific Ocean. Maya told the receptionist she was there to see Alex on urgent legal business, and after several phone calls, she was escorted to a private wing of the facility. Alex was sitting on a terrace overlooking the ocean, his back to the door. Even from behind, Maya could see how much he had changed. His shoulders, once broad and confident, seemed smaller. His head trembled slightly with the characteristic movement of Huntington's disease. "Alex!" Maya called softly. He turned slowly and Maya's breath caught. The disease had aged him years in just the past few months. His face was thinner, his eyes haunted, but when he saw her, something like wonder crossed his features. "Maya," her name was barely a whisper. "You're not real. I've been having dreams." "I'm real." Maya stepped closer, fighting the urge to reach out to him. "I saw the news about your diagnosis." Alex's laugh was bitter. "Come to see the mighty fall? I can't say I blame you." "Don't," Maya's voice was sharp. "Don't you dare act like I'm here for some kind of revenge. You have no idea what the past 2 years have been like for me." "Then why are you here?" Alex studied her face intently. "You look different, older, more beautiful somehow." Maya's resolve wavered. How did she tell him? How did she explain that their one night together had created 3 human beings who might inherit his devastating disease? "Alex, that night we spent together, there were consequences." Something flickered in his eyes. Hope, fear, she couldn't tell which. "What kind of consequences?" Maya pulled out her phone and scrolled to her favorite photo, the triplets on their 2nd birthday, covered in chocolate cake and grinning at the camera. She handed the phone to Alex with trembling fingers. "These consequences." Alex stared at the screen for so long that Maya wondered if his disease was affecting his comprehension. When he finally looked up, his face was completely transformed, wonder, joy, and crushing despair warring in his expression. "They're mine," he whispered. "Yeah. How many?" 3 triplets, Sebastian, Elena, and Diego. Alex's hands were shaking so violently he could barely hold the phone. "Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you find me? I tried." Maya's composure finally cracked. "I called your number, disconnected. I went to your office, you were traveling indefinitely. I went back to the mansion where we met. You were just a guest there. It was like you vanished from the earth." "I did vanish." Alex's voice was hollow. "I ran because I was falling in love with you, and I knew I had no right to drag you into my world." "Your world?" "The Huntington's disease runs in my family, Maya. My father died from it when I was 20. My grandfather before him. I've known since I was 18 that I would develop it eventually." Alex's eyes were bright with unshed tears. "I never let myself get close to anyone because I refused to pass this curse on to another generation." Maya's world tilted. "You knew. You knew you carried this disease and you didn't tell me." "I thought it was one night. I thought we were using protection." Alex stood shakily, pacing to the edge of the terrace. "If I had known there was even a chance of pregnancy, I never would have touched you." "But you did touch me," Maya said quietly. "And now we have 3 children who might carry your disease." The words hit Alex like physical blows. He gripped the terrace railing, his knuckles white. "No, please, no, not them. Not because of me." Maya wanted to comfort him, but her own terror was too raw. "We need to have them tested. We need to know." "Maya, I'm so sorry." Alex turned to face her, and she was shocked to see tears streaming down his face. "I have destroyed everything I ever touched. My parents' marriage, my friendships, my company. And now, God help me, I may have destroyed our children's futures." "Stop it." Maya moved to stand beside him. "You didn't know. We didn't know. And even if they carry the gene, it doesn't mean their futures are destroyed. Medical research is advancing every day. Treatments are improving. Is that supposed to comfort me?" Alex laughed bitterly. I'm worth $12 billion, Maya, and money can't save me from this disease. What chance do our children have? Maya was quiet for a long moment, staring out at the endless ocean. They have something you didn't have. What's that? They have me. And you, if you want them. Maya turned to face him fully. They have parents who love them enough to fight for them. Alex stared at her like she had spoken in a foreign language. You would want me in their lives? Even knowing what I am? You're their father, Alex. And despite everything, despite the way you left, I never stopped. Maya caught herself before the words could escape. Never stopped what? Maya shook her head. It doesn't matter now. But Alex caught her arm gently. It matters to me, please. Maya met his eyes, seeing the brilliant, tortured man she had fallen in love with 2 years ago. I never stopped loving you. Even when I hated you, I loved you. The confession hung between them like a bridge neither was sure they could cross. Alex's disease meant their time was limited. Their children might face the same devastating future. But looking into his eyes, Maya saw something she had almost forgotten existed. Hope. I want to meet them, Alex said softly. I want to be their father, for whatever time I have left. And if they carry the gene. Alex's jaw tightened with determination. Then we fight. We use every resource I have to find treatments, to buy them time, to give them the best possible lives. I won't run from them the way I ran from you. Maya nodded, her heart breaking and soaring simultaneously. They're going to love you. Are you sure about that? Alex's smile was sad. I'm not exactly father material. I don't know anything about children. Neither did I 2 years ago. Maya managed a smile of her own, but love is a pretty good teacher. Maya spent the entire drive home trying to figure out how to explain to 3 two-year-olds that they were about to meet their father. How do you prepare children for a miracle that might also be a tragedy? Carmen took the news with her characteristic strength, though Maya saw her hands tremble as she absorbed the implications of Alex's disease. When do we meet him? Carmen asked simply. Tomorrow. I thought we should do it here where they're comfortable. Good thinking. Carmen studied her daughter's face. How are you holding up, Micha? I don't know, Maya admitted. I'm terrified about the genetic testing. I'm angry that he kept his condition secret. But I'm also... Also what? Also still in love with him. Even after everything. Carmen pulled Maya into a fierce hug. Then we'll figure it out, all of it. That's what families do. The next morning, Maya explained to the triplets that someone very special was coming to visit. Sebastian, always the most perceptive, asked if it was their daddy. Eleanor wanted to know if he would bring presents. Diego just clapped his hands and giggled. When the doorbell rang at exactly 2 o'clock, Maya's heart nearly stopped. Through the peephole, she could see Alex standing on her doorstep, holding a bag of toys and looking absolutely terrified. Remember, Maya whispered to the children, this is someone who loves you very much even though you're meeting for the first time. She opened the door, and Alex's face transformed as he saw his children for the first time in person. They were even more beautiful than their photos, perfect combinations of his features and Maya's, with bright, curious eyes and infectious energy. Hi, Alex said softly, crouching down to their level. I'm Alex. Sebastian stepped forward first, studying Alex's face with scientific intensity. You have the same eyes as me, he observed. I do, Alex agreed, his voice thick with emotion. That's because you're my son, our daddy, Elena asked, moving to stand beside her brother. If you'll have me, Alex said simply. Diego, ever the charmer, walked straight into Alex's arms with the fearless trust that only children possess. As Alex lifted his youngest son, Maya saw tears streaming down his face. They're perfect, he whispered to Maya. They're absolutely perfect. The afternoon passed in a blur of toy trucks, picture books, and tentative bonding. Alex was surprisingly natural with the children, patient with their endless questions, and delighted by their personalities. When Sebastian showed him a complicated Lego creation, Alex studied it with the same intensity he might give a business proposal. When Elena insisted on painting his nails bright pink, he sat perfectly still and praised her artistic vision. When Diego fell asleep in his arms, Alex held him like he was made of precious glass. They like you, Maya observed as they watched the triplets play in the backyard. I can't believe they're mine, Alex said softly. I can't believe something so beautiful came from me. I can't believe something so beautiful came from me. Alex, Maya turned to face him. "We need to talk about the testing." His face immediately grew somber. "I know. I've already made appointments with the best pediatric neurologists in the country. We'll know within a week." "And if they test positive?" Alex was quiet for a long moment. "Then we love them anyway. We give them the best life possible for however long they have, and we hope that by the time symptoms would appear, medical science will have found better treatments." Maya nodded, trying to push down her terror. "I need you to promise me something. Anything. If they test positive, you don't disappear again. You don't decide you're protecting them by walking away. We face this together." Alex took her hand, his touch sending familiar electricity through her veins. "I promise. I'm not running anymore, Maya. From the disease, from you, from them. Whatever happens, we're in this together." The week of waiting for genetic test results was the longest of Maya's life. Alex moved into a nearby hotel and spent every possible moment with the children, as if trying to memorize them before potentially devastating news could change everything. Maya watched him transform from the lonely billionaire she had met 2 years ago into a devoted father. He learned their routines, their favorite foods, their bedtime stories. He child-proofed his hotel suite and filled it with toys. He even convinced his doctors to let him delay his own treatment schedule so he could be present for every moment. "Mama, why does Daddy's hands shake sometimes?" Elena asked one evening as Alex helped with bath time. Maya and Alex exchanged glances. They had agreed to be honest with the children in age-appropriate ways, but it was still heartbreaking. "Daddy has something called a sickness," Maya explained gently. "It makes his body do things he doesn't want it to do, like shaking. But it doesn't change how much he loves you." "Will we get sick too?" Sebastian asked with his characteristic directness. "We don't know yet," Alex said honestly. "But even if you do, Mama and I will take care of you. Always." Dr. Sarah Chen called on a Friday afternoon while Alex was reading to the children in Maya's living room. Maya stepped into the kitchen to take the call, her heart hammering so hard she could barely breathe. "Maya, I have the results," Dr. Chen said gently. "Tell me." Sebastian tested positive for the Huntington's gene. Elena and Diego tested negative. Maya's legs gave out, and she slumped against the kitchen counter. One of her babies would face the same devastating future as their father. 2 would be spared. "Maya, are you there?" "Yes," Maya whispered. "I'm here. What does this mean for Sebastian?" "It means he carries the gene that will eventually cause Huntington's disease." "But Maya, listen to me. He's 2 years old. The disease typically doesn't manifest until the 30s or 40s. That gives us decades to find better treatments, possibly even a cure." Maya nodded, though Dr. Chen couldn't see her. "Thank you. We'll be in touch to discuss next steps." Maya hung up the phone and stood in her kitchen, trying to process the information. Sebastian, her brilliant analytical firstborn, would develop his father's disease, but Elena and Diego would be spared. Maya. Alex appeared in the doorway, his face pale with anxiety. "The results?" Maya met his eyes and saw her own devastation reflected there. Sebastian tested positive. Elena and Diego are clear. Alex's face crumpled, and he gripped the doorframe for support. "No, please, not Sebastian." Maya moved to him, wrapping her arms around his trembling body. "We knew this was possible. 1 in 3 odds for each child. But why him? Why my brilliant boy?" "Because genetics don't care about fairness," Maya said, though her own heart was breaking. "But Alex, listen to me. We have 30 years, maybe more. Medical research is advancing every day. Gene therapy, stem cell treatments, things that weren't even possible when your father was diagnosed." Alex nodded, but Maya could see the guilt eating him alive. "I did this to him. I gave my son a death sentence." "You gave him life," Maya said firmly. "Beautiful, brilliant life, and we're going to make sure he has as much of it as possible." They stood holding each other in Maya's kitchen, united in grief and determination. Outside they could hear the triplets playing, Sebastian's laughter mixing with his siblings in perfect childhood harmony. "We don't tell them yet," Alex said finally. "They're too young to understand." "Agreed. When Sebastian is older, when he can process the information, we'll explain everything." Maya pulled back to look at Alex's face. "But for now, we just love them. All of them." Alex cupped her face in his hands, his thumbs wiping away tears she didn't realize she was crying. "Maya, I need to ask you something." "What? Will you marry me?" The question hung between them like lightning. Maya stared at Alex, seeing the desperate hope in his eyes. "Alex, I know it's crazy. I know we barely know each other as adults. But I love you, Maya. I love our children. And I want whatever time I have left to be spent as a family. You want to marry me because you're dying. I want to marry you because you're the strongest, most incredible woman I've ever met. Because you've raised our children to be amazing little humans. Because when I look at you, I remember who I am beneath the disease." Alex's voice broke. "I want to marry you because I love you, and I should have fought for you 2 years ago instead of running away." Maya studied his face, seeing past the tremors and the fear to the man who had captured her heart in a single night. "What about your fortune? Your foundation work? Phil, I'm still donating the money, but I want to do it as a family. I want Sebastian, Elena, and Diego to understand that they have the power to change the world, whether they carry my genes or not." Maya was quiet for a long moment, listening to her children's laughter and thinking about the impossible twist her life had taken. 2 years ago, she had walked into that mansion desperate and alone. Now she stood in her kitchen with a man who loved her, facing an uncertain but shared future. "Yes," she said simply. "Yes? Yes, I'll marry you. Not because you're sick and not because you're rich. I'll marry you because I love you too. Because our children deserve to have both their parents. And because I'm not brave enough to face this alone." Alex kissed her then, deep and desperate and full of promise. When they broke apart, Sebastian was standing in the doorway, studying them with his 2 wise eyes. "Are you and Daddy getting married, Mama?" he asked. Maya looked at Alex, then at their son, their beautiful, doomed, precious son, and felt something like peace settle over her heart. "Yes, baby, we are." Sebastian nodded solemnly, as if this made perfect sense to him. "Good, families should stay together." And in that moment, Maya realized that despite everything, the disease, the uncertainty, the heartbreak that lay ahead, Sebastian was absolutely right. Families should stay together. Maya adjusted her black dress and checked her makeup one final time before leaving for the memorial service. In the other room, she could hear Carmen helping the 7-year-old triplets get ready, their voices a mixture of excitement and confusion about the day ahead. Alexander had died peacefully in his sleep 3 days earlier, his disease having progressed faster than anyone had expected. But the 5 years they had shared as a family had been filled with more love, laughter, and purpose than Maya had ever imagined possible. They had married 6 months after his proposal, in a small ceremony in Maya's mother's backyard, with the triplets as ring-bearers and flower girl. Alex had thrown himself into fatherhood with the same intensity he brought to everything else, determined to cram a lifetime of love into whatever years he had left. Together, they had established the Sebastian Foundation, dedicated to finding a cure for Huntington's disease. Maya had put her legal career on hold to run the foundation, using Alex's fortune to fund the most promising research in the world. Every breakthrough, every clinical trial, every small step forward had been dedicated to their son and the millions of others who would face the same battle. Sebastian, now 7, was still asymptomatic and thriving. His brilliant mind had inherited the best of both parents, Alex's analytical genius and Maya's fierce determination. He knew about his condition now, had known since he was 5 and faced it with a maturity that broke Maya's heart and filled her with pride. Eleanor had grown into a fierce protector of her brothers, especially Sebastian. She had announced at age 6 that she was going to become a doctor and cure Sebastian's disease herself. Maya had no doubt she would try. Diego remained the family's heart, keeping everyone laughing even in the darkest moments. He had been Alex's shadow for the past 2 years, absorbing every story, every piece of wisdom, every expression of love his father could give. "Mama, are you ready?" Sebastian appeared in the doorway, looking heartbreakingly handsome in his small black suit. "Almost, baby." "How are you doing?" Black suit. "Almost, baby." "How are you doing?" Sebastian considered the question seriously, as he did everything. "Sad that Daddy's gone. Happy that he doesn't hurt anymore. Worried about you." Maya knelt down to Sebastian's level, straightening his tie. "You don't need to worry about me. I'm sad too, but I'm also grateful." "For what?" "For 5 amazing years with the best man I ever knew. For 3 incredible children who are going to change the world. For a love story that was worth every moment of heartbreak. Sebastian nodded solemnly, then surprised Maya by wrapping his arms around her neck. Daddy said to tell you he loves you, before he went to sleep the last time. Maya closed her eyes, holding her son tight. I love him too, always. The memorial service was standing room only, filled with world leaders, celebrities, and ordinary people whose lives had been touched by the Foundation's work. Maya spoke about Alex not as the brilliant businessman or generous philanthropist, but as a devoted father and husband who had taught them all that love was stronger than fear. Alex used to say that he was afraid his legacy would be the disease that killed him, Maya said from the podium, looking out at the sea of faces. But his real legacy isn't Huntington's disease, it's hope. It's the research that will save our son and thousands like him. It's the love that built our family. It's the proof that sometimes the most beautiful things come from the most unexpected places. After the service, as friends and colleagues shared memories and offered condolences, Maya found herself standing alone for a moment in the garden behind the church. The same garden where she and Alex had been married 5 years earlier. He would be proud of you. Maya turned to find Dr. Chen approaching, her face gentle with sympathy. The Foundation has funded more Huntington's research in the past 5 years than was done in the previous 50, Dr. Chen continued. We're closer to effective treatments than ever before. Sebastian's generation has real hope. That was always the plan, Maya said softly. Alex wanted to make sure that even if he couldn't be cured, our children could be. And what about you? What's next for Maya Rodriguez Blackstone? Maya looked back toward the church, where her children were playing with their cousins, their laughter carrying on the afternoon breeze. We keep fighting. We keep funding research. We keep loving each other. She smiled through her tears. We keep proving that Alex was right. Love really is stronger than fear. As Maya rejoined her family, Sebastian slipped his hand into hers. Mama, when I grow up and get married, will you tell my kids about Daddy? Every story I can remember, Maya promised, about how brilliant he was, how much he loved you, and how he taught us that even when life seems impossible, love can make miracles happen. Sebastian squeezed her hand. Good. I want them to know that even though Daddy got sick, he was still the best daddy in the world. Maya looked down at her son, Alex's son, and felt her heart fill with the same fierce love that had brought them all together 7 years ago in a Beverly Hills mansion. The billionaire had taken her virginity and given her triplets, but more than that, he had given her a love story that proved some fairy tales were worth fighting for, even the ones that didn't have traditional happy endings. The future was still uncertain. Sebastian's disease would eventually manifest, but the Foundation's research was progressing faster than anyone had dared hope. Elena was already excelling in advanced science classes, determined to keep her promise to cure her brother. Diego continued to be the family's emotional anchor, keeping them all grounded in joy and hope. And Maya? Maya had learned that love really could conquer fear, that miracles could grow from desperate moments, and that sometimes the most powerful legacy wasn't money or success. It was the family you built and the hope you left behind. As they walked toward their car, the setting sun painting everything in golden light, Maya felt Alex's presence as surely as if he were walking beside them. Their story had begun with one desperate night and a transaction that became something beautiful. It would continue in the laughter of their children, the work of their foundation, and the love that had transformed 2 broken people into a family. Some love stories end with happily ever after, but the best ones, the ones that matter, end with the fight continues and love makes it worthwhile. What did you think of Maya and Alex's emotional journey? Hit that subscribe button if this story touched your heart. We're so close to 10,000 subscribers, and your support helps us bring you more incredible, true-to-life stories. What kind of dramatic tale should we explore next?